conducted remotely, consistent with the governor's orders issued March 2023 regarding open meeting law. Individuals wishing to participate may do so utilizing the Zoom video conferencing technology. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and shared live on Facebook, broadcast by the Dover-Sherburne Cable Television. Accordingly, please be aware that others may be able to see you. Take care not to share your screen. Anything that you broadcast may be captured and recorded. Please remember to mute. Note when speaking, identify yourself. If you're with a specific group that's on our agenda this evening, we'll ask you to identify yourself as part of that group. As a preliminary matter, I'll confirm we have a quorum. John Jeffries, chair, present. Robin?
Robin Hunter, present.
David?
Dave Haviland, present.
In addition, we have Michael Blanchard. Chris Costello is here. We're going to hear, Mona is taking notes, and we will hear from several of our other guests this evening later in the program. Do we have, Chris, do we have citizens that have reached out to you for the citizens comment, citizen speak portion?
I haven't heard of anybody prior, but anybody that's on the call now, feel free to either raise your hand or speak if you have a comment.
I don't see anybody in the chat, and I don't see any hands being raised. So let's move right on to our first item for this evening. Discussion and vote regarding agreement with Landon Environment for professional services related to the implementation of an environmental monitoring program and inspection for the town landfill and transfer stations. I'm going to utilize. Kevin, would you our DPW director, Kevin McCabe? Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, so this is just an annual regulatory compliance as far as, business and keeping the transfer station open. So it consists of our third-party annual inspection and then our 2 rounds of gas and water monitoring as required by the DEP. This is the same contract as last year, and the fee actually went down because our DEP requirement is only 2 rounds of gas and water monitoring, not the quarterly. So the fee actually dropped to the $14.50. So looking for the boards to authorize Town Administrator Blanchard to sign this contract to keep us in regulatory compliance.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Michael, do you have anything to add to this?
No, just, mention the funding for this comes out of the operating budget of the transfer station.
Terrific. Robin, Dave, any questions?
So my only question is, Kevin, and it could be a senior moment, is this a new firm doing it?
No,
Okay.
we switched. It was last year. So this is they took over running the transfer station last year. So this is the second year with Langdon.
Okay, yeah. That was my only question.
That was your senior moment.
And I assume we were pleased with their performance last year, and so we're.
Yes, and just for the board and public's benefit as well, it was a significant saving switching to this vendor last year and this year as well, obviously.
Dave, any questions or comments?
No, sir. Thank you.
So I move to approve the agreement with Landon Environmental for professional services related to the implementation of an environmental monitoring program and inspection for the town's landfill and transfer station, and ask for a second.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye, John Jeffries.
Aye, Robin Hunter.
Aye, Dave Haviland.
Thank you very much. Kevin, thank you. Don't go away.
I think Kevin has a lot.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
Take a breath.
Kevin is the leading man on the agenda this evening.
Take a breath. Have a glass
If he
of water.
goes away,
Sip
this
of
meeting
water.
gets a lot shorter.
Right.
Our next item is the approval for the site plan review of the salt shed. And summary, Kevin is going to provide us with the background on the DPW salt shed, the review, and the permit application process.
Yeah, so this is just, and I did see Carol on the call, so if I missed something, the chair of the planning board could fill in.
We
any
see
gaps.
Carol's ceiling. Oh, now we see Carol.
Is part of the decision that the planning board, we went through site plan review with the planning board and got their decision back in April, which was part of this packet. And one of the contingencies to getting our building permit is through Dover Codes, chapter 185-36B, subsection 4, which cites basically that the site plan review is a component of the review process for official or open space, which the town garage is on official space. So this is just a part of the Dover processes to continue to move this project, which obviously was funded successfully at town meeting this year.
And basically it's just putting the new shed in the same location as the old shed?
Yes.
So we're gonna take down the shed? Is there
What I
salt?
like about this-
Oh, do you have to move?
The salt,
Oh, so
our salt has already been reshuffled.
Okay,
Yes, so we have it's spread through a couple different communities that are housing it for us until the
Okay.
construction, which will be public bid. We put it in the central registry today, so it'll go live next week and then 2 weeks. And so hopefully I'll be back to the board in one of your early August meetings to award that contract.
okay. And so this basically is just sort of another step in the process for us to approve. It's gone through the planning board. We already approved the waiver of the permit fee, right?
So this, before you say, there's three pieces. So correct, it's your approval of the site plan that the planning board already approved. It's your recommending we go ahead to apply for a building permit. A separate
Okay.
section of the town code requires that before any building permit can be applied for of any official space like the town garage, you have to okay it. And then the last piece is the waiving of the building permit fee.
Okay.
And again, you know, if we traditionally do that for town projects, because at the end of the day, the cost gets passed back to us.
Right, it's just us paying ourselves, okay.
Correct.
All right, so we're gonna do all three things in this motion.
That was the goal, yes.
Right, and Carol, I assume the planning board, since you approved it, has no open issues with the site plan review.
None whatsoever. We actually were incredibly impressed with the engineering firm that Kevin used for that.
Kristen and
One
Sampson.
of the most detailed plans we've seen.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, Carol.
Carol, I was contemplating just giving you a little agita tonight and saying, you know, in reviewing slide 5, it looks like I own half the town yard. But I was just going to do that to make you crazy.
It's been a while that you've done that to me, John. So get it all out today. Then we can go on till maybe September or October.
Dave, do you have any questions, comments?
I have a comment, and that is I appreciate what Kevin is trying to do here for the public's edification, that there's been drainage problems at the site. There are fuel tanks that have reached the end of their warranty and need to be replaced. Then there's the salt shed. I guess I can't say that easily.
Yeah, I can't say that easily either.
And then there's the grading and repaving of everything. So while we could do this piecemeal, let's just get it done and get the site where it needs to be. And that, you know, just letting everyone know that there's a lot going on, but it has to get fixed.
Yeah.
And Mike, I don't know if you, I had a couple of questions on where the funding sources were coming from. Just again, for the public's edification, to let people know how this is going to work.
Yeah, so as we talked to Kevin, do you want to just go over that? Kevin and I touch base.
Great.
Yeah, so for this action, there is no monetary value associated with it other than waiving the building permit.
It was approved at town meeting. It was
Town meeting.
part of.
Yeah, so
capital.
we're jumping the gun to item 3, so I don't want to go too far into detail, but that was funded, so we're going to use the town meeting articles to cover the construction administration services for that. So we can talk a little bit more in detail after this.
Okay. But then I'm fine with 1, 2.
David, I just want to make one comment before we move to the motion, and that's to say, with respect to your comments on the site plan and all the things that Kevin is juggling, our planning for next year, I just want to recognize if everybody on the call hasn't seen it yet, the guys at the town garage have been redoing the front of the building. There's a new patio around the flagpole. There's new chairs, plantings. There's a really, really well designed new patio that all of it was done. All the labor, all of the work was done by Kevin's guys in-house. Looks beautiful. It just looks, the whole area, and as it incorporates everything that's been done with the drainage and all the things that you mentioned, Dave. They were working for the past couple of weeks to do this, and all done in-house. It looks really, really nice. So Kevin, congratulations, and please thank the guys for us.
Yeah, thank you for that, John. I'll absolutely pass that along.
Great.
So I am going to move to the motion and move to approve the planning board's preliminary site plan review approval decision and building permit application recommendation, and to waive the building permit fee for the salt shed project, and ask for a second.
I'll second that.
All in favor, aye, John Jeffries.
Hi, Robin Hunter.
Hi, Dave Haviland.
So with that, Kevin, we can move to the next item, item 3.
Great, thank you, John. This is for a not to exceed contract with Weston and Sampson for $37,900, and this would be for the construction administration services, which would cover on-site inspection, geotech work that they need to do in the field, reviewing the shop drawings for the submittals for the salt shed as well. And the funding sources we just discussed a few seconds ago would be drawn off of the town meeting article item that was voted.
And Kevin, I can just interject, when Kevin brought both of these contracts up to capital budget, we had a lot of discussion as to whether or not it was necessary to have contract and construction administration. Was that something we could do in-house? And, Kevin was able to convince us, and rightly so, that there is a lot of engineering associated with this project that we just don't have the in-house expertise. And that really is what we're relying on Weston and Sampson for. These are regulations, and we need to make sure that the construction is done correctly. And so, after quite a bit of discussion at capital budget, we understood why this ask was being made.
Thank you. Thank you, Robin. Thank you for the clarification. It's a lot of context, and it's very helpful. Dave, any questions for this?
Not on this one. Thank you.
And Carol, is there anything that you want to add in this, or have you been a part of this yet, or is this hasn't gotten to your stage yet?
We don't get to that stage. Once we do the site plan review, it's all a matter of all goes over to DPW.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for that. So I'm going to move to the motion and move to approve Weston and Sampson's June 7th, 2024 amendment proposal for the construction administration services for the site improvement at the DPW, and ask for a second.
I second that.
All in favor, aye, John Jeffries.
Hi, Robin Hunter.
Hi, Dave Haviland.
Thank you very much. And Kevin, I think that may conclude your portion.
Before we release him, if the board would be so kind, item 1.9, the year-end appropriation transfers are only DPW related. So if you'd be willing to perhaps take that out of order while Kevin's here, you could answer any questions.
I don't know. It
So
may
Mike,
be.
Make it
why
wait.
should
Why should he get to go have dinner?
Right.
Kevin, that's a tough crowd right there. I am being the
We had the
benevolent.
same thought, Dave.
I just complimented him on
Spending
such
way
a
too
great
much
job and all the things that he's been doing for us. So I can't just, kick him to the curb. So, all right, we're gonna go to out of order. We're gonna go to item 1.9. And Mike, would you just like to read the 4 items and then we'll go to the motion?
Yeah, so just quickly, as the board knows, at this time of year, we can make year-end transfer appropriations from different accounts. So there's 3 before you tonight that are all transferred within DPW. One is to Highway Professional Services, the amount of $20,000 to cover some outstanding invoices. One is in the amount of $3,000 to solid waste staffing due to some unexpected leave and the need to hire temporary part-time help, and the other actually is the same. The $7,000 was also to cover shortfalls for the unexpected leave as well. And if there's any questions on that, Kevin's here. Otherwise, I'd recommend you move to approve those as presented.
I will move. I don't have questions. Robin or Dave, do you have questions?
No.
I move to approve the FY24 appropriation transfers as presented and ask for a second.
I'll second.
All in favor, aye, John Jeffries.
Aye, Robin Hunter.
Hi, Dave Haviland.
Terrific. Thank you very much. So, Michael, can we go back to Aquarian, item 4?
Yes.
So that's actually the PFAS lawsuit.
Correct. Sorry. Yep. PFAS.
I'm sorry. I went to the tab and it brought me to.
You're right. It does.
The tab brought me to 4. Mona. Oh my. Can you imagine? 4. So the agenda item on 1.4 is a discussion and a vote on the retaining agreement with the law firm Napoleon Shekolin. I think that's gonna be about as best I can do for the
Skolnick, I think. Skolnick.
Shekolnik.
I want to A silent. I don't know.
The town of Dover to join the Natural Rural Water Association and others as plaintiff in a class action complaint against and polyfluorocarbonate substances, PFAS manufacturers. So a little bit of background on this, as I'll be brief and then let Mike explain where we are in this. The Board of Selectmen in the town of Dover were contacted by a law firm here in the Commonwealth that is associated with this action. They've been reaching out to all the cities and towns, 351 cities and towns in the Commonwealth that are part or could be part of this class action. The Board of Selectmen asked Michael to look into it in association with Carl Warnick and the Board of Health as it pertains to potential claims that we will make and potential receipts of damages that we would maybe entitled to receive as it pertains to our wells. So Michael did look into it on at our request and has had conversations with the law firms. I don't think there's anything as a preliminary matter to mention. Michael, I'll hand it over to you and you should just give us the update as to where you are with the matter. And I do know that we do have a deadline of tomorrow to join the action.
Yeah, so we have a deadline of tomorrow to join phase 1 of the action. If we do not join phase 1, we still do have the opportunity to join future phases of the settlement. But that is the first deadline is tomorrow. So, again, as John, as you mentioned, I did reach out to, let's call it the law firm, because I don't know how to say it either, and had a conversation with an attorney that does a lot of work for them in Massachusetts. It was a good conversation. As John kind of mentioned, the intent of this is to deal with the consequences of PFAS contamination and to provide funding to communities that have water systems to deal with the issue. So whether that's cleaning up, building filters, things of that nature. The conversation that I had with him was unique for us because, as you know, with the exception of a small town well that serves a school and under kind of state guidance serves about 500 people, at its peak during the school year. Most of our water is either private wells or provided through a utility company here, Aquarian. The first conversation with the law firm was Aquarian had looked to intend to opt out of all these lawsuits. Often someone would do that because they wish to go it alone. So instead of being part of the class action, they were interested in pursuing it individually, for whatever reason. I was able to connect with Aquarian and speak with them this morning, and they've actually reversed their position, and they are joining and opting in to this class action settlement by tomorrow's deadline for all of their water systems across the area. Where that one decision impacts us is if they are opting in for their system, we cannot opt in for that. So in other words, if Aquarian opted out, we may have had the opportunity to kind of still throw our hat in the ring for some of their dealings with PFAS. In this case, since they are opting in, that totally eliminates our option to do that. The only way we could do that is if we had some sort of separate costs for the Aquarian system, which we don't, and I certainly don't anticipate that we ever would. So the law firm feels pretty confident that that avenue of us accessing funds is going to be closed. What is still open, however, is our small system as part of the school, the town well. The reality, speaking with the law firm, is as it serves only 500 people and the settlement is going to be based on population, we are probably talking about relatively very small sums of money. However, we don't know. We're not exactly sure how that's going to shake out. So tonight, I think the board has a couple options. To give them all, one is you just sign the agreement right now. We have some documentation that's required for the town wells. We can submit that all after your vote, and we'll just kind of see where the chips fall. The other option is we decide not to pursue this at all. Just that, we expect it to be a relatively small money. We don't know exactly all the work that's going to be involved for us. So perhaps the time and effort may exceed what we'd actually get in return. Something in the middle, which is, as John, as you know, we got this just this weekend. We started working on Monday. We've had it bounce back and forth between some members of our town council law firm to look at it. And one of the things I was hoping to bring to you tonight was some sort of okay of their review of the agreement. We don't have a final okay of that. So another option is potentially for you to vote contingent upon town council approving that agreement as presented. And then if they were to do that by tomorrow morning, which I anticipate they will, then we could submit at that point. So, I think at this point, it's really a policy decision for the board. It's unfortunately, I really appreciate that someone brought this forward, but the week notice is a little difficult. And so I'm just not sure how best to recommend you proceed. But I think those are kind of the options that would be available to you.
Thank you very much. Robin, questions, comments?
If you want my opinion, I don't know, pending legal counsel's review, I don't know why we would opt out, even though it's a small amount. I mean, based upon the agreement that we received, it's a contingency-based payment, right?
Right.
Whereby the law firm would receive 25% of any proceeds we get for damages. And regardless, if there are PFAS in that well, we would need to repair it. You know, we would have to pay to get it repaired. So
Right.
I don't think there's anything to lose here pending our own town council's review.
David?
I agree that there's likely nothing to lose, but I think that the likeliness of asking, I mean, we've got Nina involved. That's a charge. We got Mike doing stuff. Carl's going to have to do stuff. I guess I agree with the 25%, but the next paragraph is what bothers me, disbursements, because we will have charges, and they say that those are going to come from our share, and we would have to pay the law firm their fees first. And there's like no limit on document management charges that they can put on us. So my issue with this contract is it is totally skewed to the lawyers. The first issue I have is withdrawal. They have a paragraph on why they can get out of the contract, but we're not allowed to get out for any reason. So what if there's it? And Mike, this is, I know you don't have an answer from Nina, so you won't have this either. But on the expense payments, if we get $100 recovery, but we spend $125 in expenses, do we owe them money? Because that's kind of what I'm worried about here. Is it looks like it's contingency, but it may not be. Computation of fees, this is another thing. It's just like the contingency fee will be computed on the gross recovery. So if there's $100, they get 25 of it. But what are we going to get? Because we're going to have all the expenses that come out and then their fees, and it may be a whole lot of much ado about nothing. I just want to make sure that if the expenses begin to grow, can we get out? Can we get an estimate? Can we get a cap? Is there something to protect us? And these are all questions that Mike hasn't had a chance to look at because, you know, we just found out about this a few days ago. So I'm asking now rhetorical questions, but they are questions that we should probably find the answers to before we agree to this. And if we sign on, obviously we're losing all rights to the settlement. And I think on this contract, those were my issues. Is this worth asking our staff, our resources to spend time and money? I don't know. That's another thing. We don't know what the settlement's going to be, do we?
No.
So we know some of the settlements have shaken out. They range everywhere from I think 300+ million to over $1 billion, depending on the manufacturer. You know, I'll just hop in and John, I'm hoping I'm not jumping you, but you know, I think to Robin and Dave's point, you know, I think if we can confirm with council, there's nothing to lose, meaning that, you know,
Right.
to Dave's point, there are no fees that we could be due if they exceeded our disbursement. You know, if council could weigh in, at the end of the day, worst case, we get a penny because of all the legal fees, but in no way, shape, or form we have to actually pay anything out of pocket. You know, I think that I would probably at that point recommend to you, if the council comes back with that, to go ahead and enter this. You know, to Dave's point, you know, we have time of staff and council. We have to take that in consideration. You know, if this goes to plan, we've spent a lot of that time already. You know, council's review of this, Carl pulled all the records that are required, and then obviously my research and conversation. So we're already in for some of this. So I suppose it might make sense to just go all the way if we're already in to reap something back.
As long as it doesn't have the possibility of turning into a negative number, we have nothing to lose, and I agree.
Yeah. Go ahead, Robin.
You know, and you could always ask them to cap the fees to like a percentage of our but the damages we receive or something like that. See what they say. But I would defer to legal counsel.
We have to. I mean, I'm a layperson,
We all are
yeah.
I mean,
in terms of this.
You know,
If the board-
I've had legal contracts where we've just kept the fees. We've said, you know, the fees cannot exceed X, period.
We could have a contingent upon on our law firm looking, reviewing, adding to the language of the contract. For me, I agree with both of you with parts of what both of you have said. The part that we haven't really discussed is we don't know. We know that it's highly likely there is going to be a large settlement, as Mike referred to. We just don't know how many cities and towns are part of the class, and also what percentage of the class we would qualify for based upon gallons and population and the amounts that are going to be distributed. So, you know, where we fit on the scale of this. So, it does seem like our costs would be mitigated, and that, as Michael said, we've already put most of our cost into this already. So from a language standpoint, I think having a motion along the lines of contingent upon the agreement of our law firm, of our counsel. Michael, could we do that? Could we move to approve the retainer agreement with the law firm Napoleon Shadolic for the town of Dover to join with the National Rural Water Association and others as plaintiffs in the class action complaints, subject to the approval of our town council? Could we add that?
Did he just disappear?
He might have.
Chris, it's not nice just to delete him.
Sure, I'll come back in just a second here.
Yeah, and John, what I would also add is contingent upon town council approval and no negative net settlement possibilities, something like that.
Okay. I think the three factors are join the case, get in the game, make sure we can mitigate our downside to the extent that we can. And if our town council does not think it's possible to mitigate our downside risk, then their recommendation should be not to do it. Something along
Well,
those
the other
lines.
neat part is we still have the later phases. This is so even if we, for whatever reason, can't get in on one, we can still get in on phases 2 and 3.
I have.
think we should go in on one. Don't misunderstand me, but I just want to make sure that A, Nina signs off, and B, Nina agrees that there's no way to have a situation where we would owe the law firm money because the expenses was greater than what we received.
One of
Nina
the
is
other-
never, no lawyer is ever going to give you that assurance. I mean, I know lawyers, you know lawyers, they're never going to give you this assurance. You know, it could be, we could ask the law firm, you know, one might say that the law firm wouldn't be taking this on as a contingency if they felt that, you know, expenses would be so high. But you can never get a lawyer to give you that type of assurance. So if the concern is, you know, I think it's highly unlikely that your settlement will be negative. But, you know, I don't think Nina would be able to give you an assurance.
Well, I'm just talking about based on the contract, Robin, which as the definition of disbursements, can disbursements less whatever we get.
Yeah, I mean, we would have to go back to this law firm and say that there are some changes we want. You know, we want this to be changed to say that, you know, we want you to have a limitation on your disbursements, and we want to make sure that our damages plus any disbursements won't exceed zero, I guess, right? So that we would never owe you money and see.
Right, we just want to make sure that we don't have to pay out money if, because we only have a school and 500 kids using it 8 months a year, going up against the cities of Boston, Worcester, Springfield, et cetera. You know, what is our share of this? Even if it's a $10 billion settlement pool, what are we likely to get? So, yeah. So, Mike, sorry that you missed this conversation, but John wanted to know if we could have the motion with contingent upon town council approving and town council confirming that the settlement we receive could not result in a negative number.
Yes.
Mike, did you have any conversations with Mr. Naughton about the extent of the cost or extent of what our other parties that have signed on to this, other towns or municipalities, what their anticipated costs are? Did that?
No, you know, the conversation we had, without saying it directly, but alluded to that there are no costs to the participants, right? So like in most class action lawsuits, you know, you only walk away with something to zero. To Dave's point, though, I think the language here around the attorney's fees is very clear that that's true. But the expenses, to me, as a layperson, it's not. And perhaps council looks at it and says, "Oh no, this is exactly what it means. You will never have to pay a cent." Then great. But the conversation didn't get to that specific level of this draft.
Okay.
But I'm comfortable with the motion that you're making, and I can make sure that's done by council.
Okay. So Dave just paraphrased it, and I began it, Mike, just as you dropped off. So if you'd like, I can read it again, or we can just say the motion as we've read to also contain contingent upon approval by town council.
Yep, I'm comfortable with that.
And Robin, Dave, you comfortable with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Mike knows what the issues are, so you know we're good. Yeah, exactly.
I'm suggesting the motion and asking for a second.
Second.
All in favor, aye, John Jeffries.
Aye, Robin Hunter.
Aye, Dave Haviland.
Thank you very, very much. So now if clicking to tab 4, Mona, we're going to go to item 5. I'm only going to give, that's the last time I'm going to give Mona a hard time about anything this evening or ever again.
It's your life. You can choose to end it any way you see fit.
Exactly. I'm treading on very thin ice right now. Oh, Mona knows. Mona knows we love her the most.
Yes,
The discussion
very
regarding Thank you, Mona. Discussion regarding aquarium proposal to purchase town water distribution pipes. Very, very good segue, Mona. Well positioned in the agenda. Michael will discuss Aquarium Water's proposal to purchase the main distribution of the town water supply.
So as the
Michael?
board will recall, back at the end of May, I think it was, your last meeting in May, Aquarium came in to provide kind of a comprehensive update on where things were at. 3 of the things that specifically were discussed were, one is their exploration of a interconnection with the Dedham Westwood Water District, what that might mean for us in the future to become an MWRA community. A separate item was a possible interconnection to our town-owned distribution main to their Springfield Farms system, which is something that we'll continue to discuss. And the last piece was, as part of all of that, but yet a very separate thing, was Aquarium's interests and perhaps our desire to get out of the water distribution business and for them to purchase our pipes. So we had that informal conversation following that meeting, and I believe you all received directly via email, but it's in your packet as well. Was a proposal from Aquarian to make that offer. As we discussed, what they are looking at is the depreciation value of that. So it's just over $19,000. So again, it's not a lot of money. And from a public perspective, you might say, hey, that's a lot of pipe in the ground. But the reality is for us, it's a real capital liability. A lot of the system's very old. It's going to need to be replaced. We've had water main breaks. We're responsible for our own leak detection. And again, for the public's benefit, this simply, what we're doing through our system is passing along Aquarian water. We don't have our own water source. We're not providing our own water to the community. We're simply a pass-through and delivery person, if you will, of the water. So, I thought it was important to keep this on your radar screen, to continue the discussion. I'm not necessarily or specifically asking for a vote at tonight's meeting, but I thought it was important to publicly discuss the proposal that they presented. If you want to discuss it tonight, Aquarian's not here, but if we had questions for them, I'd be happy to go back to them, or we can invite them to a future meeting. Again, as a reminder, you as the selectman, me as a town administrator, can't unilaterally decide to do this. It would require town meeting action. Aquarian is aware of that, and so what they're asking for here ultimately is for the selectmen to vote to support this sort of endeavor. Not just approve it because you can't, but to support it, which means we would bring it forward to a future town meeting to make this sort of request from the public.
Thank you. Excellent summary, Michael. Thank you. My comment is we've discussed this many times. We get no benefit. There's no monetary benefit. There's no benefit to owning the pipe. We own pipes. We receive no benefit for owning the pipe. We have our employees. We have infrastructure that we have to utilize to fix pipes when they break, just like it happened on Springdale at Spring Lane in January. So that's just a very good example of a system that is in constant need of repair. And we are not in the water business. Robin, do you have anything that you would like to add to this?
So one of the things I think that we need to understand is the purchase price truly representative of fair market value? And so I was wondering if, maybe we could get CDM Smith to opine or find somebody that would, because I think it's important, especially to represent at town meeting that and it may be the 19,000 is representative of fair market value, but we really need to make sure that this is representative of that. I agree with John's comments. There is not a lot of value to us owning that distribution system. Right now it's a liability. And I think in our capital budget, it was close to $2 million to replace that infrastructure, which we know needs to be replaced sometime in the near future. So for us as a town, with all the other capital infrastructure that we have, and the reality of the situation is Aquarian is providing water to that section of town. So I am in favor of pursuing this opportunity, but I do think from a board perspective, we need to do a little diligence, because I think town meeting is going to want that diligence, and it's our basically fiscal responsibility to get those answers before taking a formal vote. But, conceptually, yes, I am in favor of this.
David?
That was a very nice summary, Robin. So as long as we can verify the price that we're getting through a third party, because obviously Aquarian has a slightly vested interest, that would make me much more comfortable. And the only thing which is not for real discussion tonight, but just to put into everyone's mind, that if Aquarian is going through looking to get a new water source, and we have the Ponzi land, should we be selling our water to Aquarian for our own residents? And I'm willing to bet that we could probably do that at a lower price than MWRA. But I don't know. But is that something that should be explored in the future? And it's all kind of tying into this, the pipes, the system, the water that's going to fill that system, and the cost thereon. So yes, I think Robin summed it up very well, but thank you for letting me get my 2 cents in.
I'm just going to add one thing to what both of you said, and that is the other side of Robin's question, or Robin's proposal, if you will, to get the value of the water, of the pipes, of the distribution system. The other side of that equation that we really have to know is what are our current costs? What have we put in? What has Carl Warnick put in? What has Bobby Tosi put in? What has the town put in to replacement and repair and costs that we know we've already put in over the past, I don't know how many years you'd like to go back. But when you think about the value of those pipes, what the value of the system is, you also have to look at the other side of the equation. What's the liability? We had to spend at least 6 or 7 days at Springdale and Spring Lane with construction. So I don't know what that cost is, but it's a significant cost. We had to spend the same number of days at the cost for the town, the center of town, when we lost the hydrant and the main connection to the hydrant right outside of the Carroll. We also had part of the process that was just done on right on Breton Road, at the Breton Road off of Walpole Street. There were 2 different construction projects. We had part of that. Town did part of that construction. So we need to know what those costs are, because every time something happens, we have to dig up the street. We have to attach resources. So that side we should know, because when we are asked at town meeting, Robin, to your point, we need to know that. We're also should be able to say to our residents, if we do nothing, we have to put aside, as you said, Robin, potentially $2 million, $3 million, $4 million.
Right, I mean, we have to update the number. I'm just going from memory. I
Same.
think that's
Same
what the
here.
number was.
But the point is that this sale is erasing a large negative that is known to be coming in the not too distant future.
Correct.
But I was also that 19,000 number.
Be right, but I don't know.
But to verify it is the
Right.
way to go. Just get someone
Right.
else to look at it and say that's a fair number, and they can look right at attachment C in the proposal and give
Right.
that to CDM or whoever the firm is and say, what do you think? And as John points out, if we've made some repairs that have value that might add something here, great. But in the grand scheme of things, it's getting rid of 2 to 4 or whatever the $1 million liability is. So
Right.
yeah, I'm good, but
Okay.
But I think taking a straw poll here, I think conceptually, we all think this is something that we should pursue, but we just need a few more answers, right?
yes.
No.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you for that. That's really what I was hoping to get. And to address Robin's suggestion, and I hear it from the group, we are one piece, we are already getting a second opinion. We currently have, I believe it's PAR, who's an engineering firm that is doing some work on our evaluation of what our water system looks like. And as part of that is looking at their opinion of a sale value
Excellent.
of our water supply. I think it also makes sense, however, to probably look at a fourth opinion, which is see if CDM Smith could maybe very easily dust off what they already did, because the values that Aquarian is using is based on a 2020 report they had done. So I'm happy to have that. So a third and fourth, just so we're in a good position to present to the public and show where these numbers came from and that they do make sense or not.
It does look, I mean, you say, oh my God, 19,000, but you know, could be right.
Carl
I've never sold a water distribution system before, so I have no idea.
I have, but it's a filter and it's about that big and it sits in my basement. That's it. So
Okay.
Carl
You have
Warnick,
more experience than me.
our water superintendent, Carl Warnick, is on the call. Carl, do you have anything that you would like to add to this conversation if you are listening and can hear us?
Yeah, it's an old system. Value wise, the pipes, there's only 2 sections. Meeting house, that was in the 80s. From Springdale down to Old Colony, that was the late 80s. Everything else is from the 50s.
Yeah, it's old. So that's why I say 19,000 might be, but somebody's gonna stand up at town meeting and ask. So I just want to make sure that we can have the certified report and say, yes, we validated that this is fair market value.
exactly.
70-year-old water pipes are going to cost a lot.
Maybe it's a really good deal.
Yeah,
Maybe maybe we're getting too much, but I don't know.
Yeah.
We also have PAR doing a study also.
Right, that's what Mike had said. Right.
Mike,
Yeah.
Mike mentioned that.
So
Carl, thank you very much.
Yep.
So I move to support Aquarian Water's proposal to purchase the town's water distribution pipes and provide Aquarian with the information and steps necessary for public approvals that would allow the Board of Selectmen to enter into a definitive agreement to effectuate the transaction. And ask for a second.
Well, I would edit that because I think, to me, we should wait until, or it should be contingent upon the validation of some of these items.
Well, we're just asking for support to support the proposal. We're not asking for a proposal.
Mike, you were gonna say something?
Yeah, so I think what I heard from the board is perhaps you'd be more comfortable making this vote once you have that information.
That's
your consensus that this is a positive move is enough for me to keep moving at this point. And then what we could do is bring this back for that formal vote once we have those proposals, and assuming everything lines up the way we think it will, we could take the vote at that time if you're more comfortable with that. That would
I
work.
certainly am.
Or
That
how
would
about
be
just
perfect if John and Robin are okay. I would prefer that.
okay? I was just going to suggest if we just added move to continue to support. But if you're good with this, Michael, and if you think this
And
is
if this is good for Aquarian, then great.
Yeah,
I mean, if they
exactly.
need something more, then we can discuss it at the next meeting. But I mean, I think there's clearly support here, just pending some validation of the purchase price.
Right. That's great. No, I appreciate that, and we'll be prepared to come back to your next meeting.
terrific. So thank you. And then we're good and we can move to item 6.
Yes.
Item 6 is a discussion regarding the recruitment process for a finance director, treasurer, tax collector. Mr. Blanchard will discuss the recruitment process that we have ongoing. Michael?
Hey,
Yeah,
I
so
just want to note for the record, we are right on track with the agenda, just for the
Wow.
record.
You jinxed it. Now here we go.
Wow.
Like the pressure's on.
Okay, all right, I'll be quick. So as the board knows, but for the benefit of the public, as part of our last, most recent town meeting process, we created and funded a combined finance director, treasurer, collector position. That position posting is out, it is live, and it's posted all of the places, Mass Municipal Association, the Treasurers, Accounting, Government Officers Association, working with Community Paradigm and Bernie Lynch. And there's a deadline of July 24th for applicants to send their materials to Bernie. At that point, he'll start his initial review and screening interviews. And then with a date to be determined, no date certain yet, he'll present a handful, maybe more, of candidates to us that he recommends we move forward for a formal interview process with the town. Why I just wanted to have this discussion tonight, and it does not need to be a formal vote, because unlike some of your other searches, like the town administrator search process, you don't have to appoint a formal screening or search committee. This would be more kind of we call them task force, but so what I want a discussion of, obviously,
process, right?
Yeah, an internal process, but we want to involve board and committee members that you think are appropriate and important to include. So, obviously, I'd be sitting in on these interviews, perhaps some other internal staff, but I wanted the board to discuss who you would like to include to make sure you're comfortable when we come to you and say, hey, we found a final candidate. You feel it was properly vetted by the right people in the room.
I have no comment. Robin, Dave, do you have comments or questions about this? I think it's exactly in line with what we have discussed and exactly in keeping with where we want to take the process.
Yes, but
Right,
I think Mike, oh, sorry, go ahead.
And it's also what we've done in the past.
Exactly.
For, when we hired the assistant town administrator, Bob Springett acted as our liaison and sat on the committee. And we've done it for a few other searches. And I think it makes a lot of sense, especially for the key positions in the town.
Mm.
I think what Mike was asking, though, is who should be on this task force to do the selection.
I was going to nominate you, Dave. Since you've
I'm
been
in.
Second.
You have been doing a lot of work with, I thought, from my perspective, you and John know a lot more about, right now what's going on in the treasurer collector arena, because you've both been working on the investment policy, and I thought I would give you a vote of confidence as our new member and nominate you.
You got to ask Mike first if Mike can put up with me. So
no, I think
you have duct tape in your drawer, right? He's good.
I appreciate it. I think, Dave, you make perfect sense.
Well, I hope John agrees, but
I already seconded your motion.
Okay, great. All right, excellent.
It's
but so then some warrant committee members, maybe we can reach out to Cam and ask him to have at least one.
Yeah, I think that was my thought is to have one warrant committee representation, and then certainly different key staffs, perhaps even some of the consultants that we have who are going to be working.
Oh, that's a good idea. Right.
What about capital budget?
I don't think I think there isn't a huge amount of interaction, so.
Yeah.
I think, Dave, if you would agree to do it, that would be great. Having just spent, a lot of time last year with our chief search, and I think we all would agree that the entire committee and all the members and all the stakeholders that participated with the consultants turned out just to be a great process. It's interesting. Just want a quick caveat that I failed to mention with regards to the class action suit.
You're going back to 1 point.
Oh man, you're gonna blow your record.
John, we were on schedule.
No, we were. I promise we'll go back. That the person came to us as a result of their involvement in the chief's search.
It's a small world, right?
Literally how we got connected with the firm. So,
wow.
But it's just
6 degrees of separation.
It's a small community here in in Massachusetts. So, so Dave, that I think that would be great. And I would second Robin's motion.
Well,
There isn't a vote, but
I was
it's
gonna say,
yours, Dave.
there isn't, but there was. So
There's
There's no motion, but we've appointed Dave.
we've appointed you, yeah. Michael, is there anything else you'd like to add to this?
No, that's it. And, obviously I'll keep you updated as the process moves forward, but, we're excited. I know the recruiter feels we'll have some really quality candidates, so.
Tell him we expect more than a handful.
Okay, fair enough.
She's tough. She is very tough. Item 7, we're going to move to item 7, which is the town administrator's annual performance review and evaluation and vote. So our human resources director, Robin Cicino, is here. Hello, Robin.
Hello. Nice
How are
to see
you?
you guys again.
Nice
Good
to
evening.
see you too.
Thank you very much for joining us. And we wanted to be very punctual for you. We wanted to make absolutely certain that we got, so you could see how well we run meetings and how prompt.
Remember, it's all about me.
And we wanted to make sure that everybody knew it was Robin with an I who is taking care of this.
Actually, I think we changed it, Robin, to Robin T. So
Okay,
there was
okay,
no,
Robin T.
it made it a little bit easier.
Okay. See, I already forgot.
Well, Ms. Tassino and the selectmen will discuss the evaluation process designed to assess the performance and accomplishments of our town administrator. So just as in a very simple summary and a bit of knowledge for those of you listening here on the call this evening and those of you that will watch this from home and watch it on a broadcast, the Board of Selectmen received the performance package. We sat with Robin individually. We had lots of opportunity to discuss, to really reflect upon the entire year, the process where Michael Blanchard came in, and a lot of the circumstances that were surrounded last year and how unique it was. I will speak just very briefly for myself and say what Robin with an I, Ms. Tassino, and I discussed
Robin
was
T.
Robin T. Okay, thank you, Robin. Robin H. Thank you. Robin T. and I discussed were the circumstances around last year and the overshadowing circumstance that the Board of Selectmen that Michael was facing was the loss of Bob Springett. So it was a unique time like none other that I've experienced, Robin and David have experienced. We had a brand new town administrator. We had a seasoned selectman who is facing a life-threatening illness and passes during the year. And we have to do everything that we need to do without missing a beat. So in reflecting upon that, Robin T. and I, we just went back many times to say, this has probably never happened before, where a brand new town administrator had to deal with this in relationship to everything else. So it was for Robin and I a heartfelt discussion over these were the things that Michael still did and the town still accomplished in light of what we were dealing with on a day-to-day basis. So for me, that was, I just wanted to share that with everyone as a preamble to what our evaluation process was like. And Robin, if you would like to do the same, or David, if you'd like to do the same, go right ahead.
What I thought is I'd let Robin T maybe go over the process, which I would like to say was excellent. And we made some improvements to it. And I think actually meeting with you was extremely beneficial doing it that way. And, reading this review that you pulled together, it looks like there was a tremendous amount of consistency between the three of us. So Mike, excellent job. And I could have written this myself, and I know what you did was pull together all of our comments. So, you always hope that there's the kind of consistency that we had in this evaluation process. And I was really glad to see it. And, again, I think it's reflective of Mike's performance over the year. And as we go through this, we'll be able to share many of the highlights. But Mike, for me, I have to say thank you. You did a tremendous job. You just restored professionalism to the townhouse. I walk in there and I see people laughing. During the interview process, you said, I have an open door policy, and you indeed have an open door policy. I constantly see people in there, and you make time for everybody, employees, citizens, and personally, I could not have asked more from a town administrator. And so thank you for everything you've done for us.
Thank you, Robin. David?
I want to focus on Mike's attitude, which is so superlative, you really can't do it. And I was trying to write down some words to describe it, and I've failed miserably, but I only had about 30 seconds. But between kind, pleasant, good humor, cheery, effervescent, positive, upbeat, and I realized I started repeating myself, but that is what, boy, you have brought to the town of Dover. And everyone has benefited. It is, I'm sorry?
And firm. I mean, Mike does not shy away from tough conversations, and
Agreed, but it's just this positive influence on everyone's life, and finding positives in whether you're serving a citizen, a committee member, someone on the staff, someone not on your staff. It doesn't matter. I cannot thank you enough for having a positive, cheery, open attitude. And I mean, this is just from working with you and observing the positive effects you've had on your staff. So for that, I thank you a lot.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Wow. Robin T, would you like to walk us through where we are and your comments?
Absolutely. So tonight I will provide an overview of how the evaluation process was conducted, what categories Michael was evaluated on, and how Michael performed in these key areas. Before I get into that, though, I would just like to say to Robin, John, and Dave that it was really a great experience to work with each one of you. And I really understand your perspective. I think we had your comments were all very thoughtful and candid. We had wonderful discussions. Yeah. And it was a pleasure working with each one of you, and I look forward to doing this in the future. So for me, it was a great experience too. Plus to hear how wonderful Michael is too, that was nice. So the evaluation process we followed, it consisted of submitting a performance evaluation form distributed to each of the members of the board. And then the board members completed an evaluation form and scheduled a meeting to meet with me. The results of the evaluation forms were tabulated and summarized, and then a composite evaluation was created. So just so for the general public, the town administrator is rated on a 5-point evaluation scale, with 5 being the highest score. Any changes that the board wished to make was submitted back to me, and then I completed the final document, which I'll read excerpts from it tonight. So the results are presented as a composite score and a summary of the discussions between myself and the board members. Although the nature of our discussions were private, I will note relevant examples of Michael's performance to help illustrate what informed the board member scoring. So I'll now list the categories and average score of the 3 evaluations. As a side note, Robin, I'm repeating your words. The board members were very closely aligned in their commentary under each section. So the first section being management, organization, and planning. Michael with 5 being the score. I feel like I'm on a game show. Your score was 4.6.
The survey said.
Drum roll.
Communication and collaboration of 4.6. Staff recruitment and development of 4.8. Financial management, 4.2. Professional development, skills and expertise, 4.5. For a total overall score of a 4.54. And just for the public again, excellent, a 5 is excellent, consistently performs at a very high standard that significantly surpasses reasonable expectation. And a 4 is above average, consistently performs at a standard that generally exceeds standards, does not exhibit any appreciable performance deficiencies. And just to give you a little synopsis or a few excerpts from the summary document. So under management of organization and planning, Michael's prioritization of goals inherited were exceptional. Michael does an exceptional job at building relationships. A big accomplishment was the DPW transition agreement with Park and Rec and the cemetery, creating a pretty much full service DPW department. Communication and collaboration. Michael excels in this area. He did an excellent job leading collaborative efforts with town committees, boards, and town departments. He has made great strides in providing communication internally and externally, and he is very adept at listening to residents' concerns and resolving issues in a timely manner. The third area is staff recruitment and development. When Michael began his employment with the town of Dover, the majority of his administrative positions were vacant. Michael has built an outstanding team with a skill set that adds value to the town of Dover. Okay, so I'm missing a page. The fourth section is financial management. And that is, Michael worked closely with the Board of Selectmen liaison, the warrant committee, the interim finance director, and the chair of the warrant committee to design a framework that provided a simple and understandable overview of the budget. And the last section is professional development, skills, and expertise. Michael has been with the organization for 1 year. During his tenure, he has brought tremendous energy and initiative to the town administrator position. Michael is extremely knowledgeable. He learns quickly and knows when he needs to enlist others for help. Michael has made tremendous progress in connection with the goal of modernizing our town government. And just as another observation, in 1 year, Michael has done a tremendous job righting the ship. His effective leadership and engagement has boosted the morale of the employees and has created a positive working environment in the town. There have been positive comments from the community. Michael has a knack for making everyone feel important and listens to all concerns from staff, residents, boards, and committees. Thank you.
Robin, thank you very much. Well done and really well said. I have nothing really to add. And Michael Blanchard, you've heard from me, you heard from Robin, you heard from Dave. Congratulations. This is
Thank you.
And thank you. Thank you, Dave.
That's
It has been an absolute pleasure, Mike. And Just keep that energy coming. We'll try not to let Robin T and Chris have the comment about the excellent staff that you've hired go to their heads, but hey,
But it will.
it's
No,
true.
It is true.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it. And, I really appreciate the way, the approach the board took with this, working with Robin, your professionalism. And, for most people, to have most people aren't reviewed on a public forum, right?
Public.
It could be pretty awkward process. So I appreciate the time and the commitment you took. This year has really flown by. Most days. Some days it feels like I've been here for a very long time, but most days.
Now he's honest.
But I want to keep on time. But I just want to say, there's a proverb that says, success has many parents. And it's really important for me to say, that the achievements, successes that you've talked about over the past year would not be possible without all of the hard work of the town's dedicated and professional staff. My better half at work, Mona, I work almost every day with Chris and Robin. It couldn't be done without them. The board, Selectmen, has been so supportive. I'm so thankful that I had the opportunity to work with Bob, even for a short time. I did learn so much from him, and I'm forever grateful for that. All of our other committed, elected, and appointed volunteers, they've just been wonderful to work with, offering resources. And just generally the community at large. Everyone has been so welcoming and so appreciative. I'm really proud of our team. I consider myself just so lucky to be part of it. And I'm really excited for what we're building and what the future holds for Dover. So thank you so much.
And Mike, for me, it's a relief because I was the one responsible for your onboarding, and I was told that I needed to make sure you stayed. So now
there were other threats.
It's a huge relief on my part, but
that wasn't the only
so much fun. It's been a tough year, but so much fun, and I'm looking forward to everything we're going to accomplish next year and the year after and the year after that. I think we're just putting a phenomenal framework in place. And, again, Robin T, if you feel free to make suggestions on you and Mike on how, what other things we could do with this process. Is the form still applicable? Are there changes we should make to it? Because it should be a living document and reflective, really, of what's going on in the townhouse.
And how to evaluate, because every situation and person is different.
Right.
Yeah, Robin T, we in Dover tend to think of ourselves as unique, but we know that we have a lot of similarities, and we're looking to you for your professionalism, for your guidance, and we want you to be a steward of this process with us and continuing to make it evolve, because we don't want it to be stale. We don't want it to be just something that has historical context and that's it. We, as Robin and Dave have already mentioned, we want to be current, and we want it to be something that we're very proud of for everybody to see. I know it is very awkward for Mike to be in this situation, but we're proud of it. We're proud of Mike. We're proud of the process. We're proud of what you have put together in this report for us. So I think it shows really well upon everyone.
Right. And I think to echo Mike's comments, it takes a team. And we know there's a full team beneath you, supporting you and us every day. And, it's
almost full team, not quite.
Right.
We're
getting there.
It's just
it'll be even better.
Right. It's been so, I've been energized working with different team members, and you just feel the energy in the townhouse, and we really couldn't ask for more. So,
well, I'm going to move to the good part. I move that pursuant to Section 6 of the agreement with Michael between the town and the town administrator dated June 7th, 2023, a bonus of 17 million. I'm kidding.
He'll take it.
Might retire.
Wait, he didn't say the currency yet. Hold
We
on.
just need
So-
town meeting approval.
I just wanted to see if Carol Lisbon was paying attention. She turned her monitor off. I'm gonna see if I can get her attention to come back on. Let me do it again. I move pursuant to Section 6 of the agreement between Dover and the town administrator dated June 7th, 2023, a bonus of up to $10,000 be
Well, I would just put in $10,000 based upon.
Just exactly, just make it simple.
Yeah, exact 10,000. Thank you both. $10,000 be awarded to Michael Blanchard based upon his fiscal 2024 performance, and ask for a second.
I will second that.
All in
I
favor? Aye, John Jeffries.
I, Robin Hunter.
Hi, Dave Haviland.
Michael, congratulations. Well earned. Well deserved.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Robin T.
Yes.
Good night.
Good night.
Robin,
Somebody
thank
else
you
is
very
getting
much.
dinner.
How did you know it was waiting? Have a good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Right.
Thank you. We're going to move to item 8, the approval, acceptance, and expenditure of the Mass Trails grant for the design, engineering, and permitting for a potential rail trail project. This process this evening, we'll discuss $184,760 grant Dover received from the Commonwealth Mass Trails Grant Program to be used for a potential rail trail project. Michael?
Yeah, so as the board will know certainly better than I, because I hadn't arrived yet, but there's been a long history, I think 13 years or so.
Who's counting?
of work on this rail trail project. There's been successes and setbacks, and it hasn't moved forward in its full form. To be clear, what is before you tonight is a grant that is really important. I'd like to just publicly highlight Jasmine Farinacci, our planning director, put a lot of work into of just shy of $185,000 that's going to be used for the design, engineering, and permitting of potential trail project here in Dover. There was, just to address it, there was some information on social media that got a little misconstrued that we were building it. This was enough money to do that. It's not, but what it is enough to do is to dig out what has been done, to look at, fill in the blank, refresh it, revise it, and to come back and look for some public input on updated designs and plans for this potential project. And it, just being clear that there will be public feedback and public participation before a project could actually proceed.
And we would need town meeting approval. So what we're
Correct.
going to have here is just refresh the design, update the costs, and then get public feedback on that. And then there would be a town meeting for the voters to approve it or not.
Thank you, Robin. That just clarified it for everyone, exactly the process. So we're not deciding tonight to build a rail trail. We
Right.
are accepting a grant to update the information so that that information is available to the town in the future to make a decision.
Right, and I think that's really important because it will most likely, but maybe I'm wrong, be more expensive than $184,000 to build the road, but maybe not. So, but this will go before town meeting and be voted on. But it is a great achievement, and I really do thank Dover, Jasmine, for pulling this together. Some of you may or may not remember, but we did apply for grants during the 13 years at some point, and we were actually turned down. So we really do appreciate getting the grant this time. And I think, with Medfield's rail trail completed and Needham's rail trail completed as well, there's a lot more information out there than when we first brought it to the town. So we can really learn from both of those neighboring towns' experiences.
Hmm.
So
I think the
I'm
key,
looking forward to it.
yeah, same. And Dave, Robin and I lived this in, it was such a big part of what we did for a very long time. The fundamental difference between where we are now with this and where we're going with it is when the Friends of the Rail Trail got up in front of town meeting and made the statements and the promises that this would not be a town function. It would be something that the Friends of the Rail Trail did independent of the town. So they were really intent on being able to pull this together to complete the project without it impacting town finances and having town liabilities. So this is just which was really not the case. We proved that that was not going to be possible. So here we are. It's a different concept. It's the same concept of having a rail trail. It's a different form of ownership, and it's a different form of funding, and it's a different form of liability. So we're going to proceed down this path. And then, as Robin has said, we're going to make this very, very painfully clear to everyone once we understand exactly how the process will unfold and what the town's asset and liabilities will be. So I also am very excited about it. It's long overdue. So any other discussion before we move to the motion?
Just to put on the table that I did speak with Mike today about this, to explore with Definity to ensure that the town's legal liability is covered either through existing or an additional or an increased limit, just to cover that. And then let's see, there are a couple things just to. So the cost sharing provision, Mike, could you share with everyone the funding of that and how that's going to come about?
Yeah, so as part of this grant, there's a requirement to the town to put some money towards it as well. And that funding is going to come out of, it could come out of a variety of sources, but I think the most likely source is the Park and Rec. Whether that is something that could come out of their operating budget, or they also have a revolving fund as well that they could use. They haven't taken a formal vote on the specific source yet, but those are the two likely sources that would come.
And just to clarify, that cost sharing provision that Dave refers to and that Michael just mentioned is 20% of the grant, which is $47,440. So it's not like the town of Dover has to put up 80% and the grant is 20%. It's a very reasonable amount, I feel, that the town is being asked to participate in the cost.
Agreed. I just wanted a funding source identified. That was my only clarification. And then one more due diligence piece is to find out anywhere along the trail, are there any conservation restrictions? Because each and every one who has a CR has the ability to veto per clause 20. So we just need to make sure that either the Norfolk Hunt or whoever might have a conservation restriction along the route would be on board. And as part of this due diligence process we're going to undertake.
Right, so all of that information is already known because we've done a tremendous amount of research, so we have all that information. More of Medfield's rail trail is impacted by the Hunt Club than ours. So,
I'm happy and looking forward to moving forward, Robin. I want to make sure that we are checking every box that needs to be checked before we go to town meeting with the next recommendation.
Right, but I think all of that has, the design is part of it, and then I think we learned from town meeting. So we have to, actually, there is a meeting on the 17th of July to figure out how we're going to move this forward. And it's not just going to be Park and Rec. So they want to put together a task force, which will also include members of the Friends of the Dover Greenway as well. So I think once that sort of planning, brainstorming meeting is completed, we will then be able to present an outline of how we think the project should move forward. So I think that will be really helpful too, because we have Carol Lisbon, I believe, has files going back to 2011, and I dumped all of my electronic files on the town's website. So we actually have a Google Drive that you can look at, Dave. And it's great to refresh yourself on like the initial feasibility study. I think that was done in 2011 is on there. And then all the reports are in there. So it's a great way to refresh yourself on everything the town's done.
Which clearly I need to do.
Oh.
Again, I'm just,
No, you're gonna get PTSD.
Yes, yeah, exactly,
But
exactly.
I think there's a tremendous amount of information, and I wanted to make sure that it wasn't on Robin Hunter's home computer anymore.
Mm.
So, and
Well-
I believe Carol also moved a lot of files up on there, so.
No. Still have the hard copies of many of
I
the
scanned everything in. I have everything electronically. So when Park and Rec approached me and said they were gonna do this, I said, who's in charge? Because I have a lot of documents for you guys to read. And then Chris was kind enough to set up the Google Drive so I could dump it all on there.
Dave,
Right.
anything else to add to this?
no, I mean,
It's very
other than
exciting.
my support, and I agree, this is a wonderful way of diving back into this, and to those who wrote the grant, thank you. And here we go.
Here we go. I move to approve the acceptance and expenditure of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Trails Grant to Dover in the amount of $184,760 for the design, engineering, and permitting of a potential rail trail project, and ask for a second.
I'll second that.
All in favor? I, John Jeffries.
I, Robin Hunter.
Hi, Dave Haviland.
So we did section 9, item 9, which means we're going to move right along to 10 and to board, committee, commission, and annual staff appointments. So we have a few more appointments. Well, we're going to actually do the boards.
Yeah,
And-
so Mona provided a list. If you look at the packet, three require a formal vote as they're part of our I think it's the bylaws or the
Yep.
charges of the different committees. But she was kind enough to put all of the committees or working groups that you're currently on. So I think, if the board wanted to had a chance to look at that, if there's any reorganizing of who's on what, representing what groups. And then finally, once that's all set, we would just fill in the blanks for the 3 specific motions for open
Great.
space, warrant.
And we don't, thank you. And we don't have to add Dave to the committee, the search committee for finance director.
So those, given they're not formal appointments, we could certainly add it here, but it doesn't necessarily require a vote, but we could add that for our own internal records. Yes, yep.
Okay. I don't have any questions or comments. Robin, do you have any?
So, in the past, I believe at some point we also had a liaison to the planning board. And so Dave, and we also need, so I don't know, Dave, if that's something you might be interested in doing.
I've never given it a moment of thought. So What do you think, Carol? Can you put up with me? Oh,
Yeah.
Carol's not there.
Yeah,
No, I'm here. I'm here.
She
I'm here.
fainted from
Iris,
shock.
She
Iris,
she
I'm here.
fainted. She fainted, David.
I may be in my pajamas, but I'm here.
You don't have to turn
TMI,
the
Carol, TMI.
keep the camera.
Dave, it would be an honor.
The only concern I have, Carol, is do you meet on Monday evenings?
We do twice a week, twice a month.
I think I have another board meeting when you guys meet.
Oh, okay.
Bye.
Because it's Monday evenings. Are you it's the first or second, right?
It's sort of, it depends. Generally speaking, we're the first and the third, generally. Yeah.
Third I can do. The first is where I'm gonna miss. So I'm gonna miss.
So,
half.
a lot of, to that point though, depending on the agenda of a meeting, there's really not a lot to layers, it's, if we're just doing simple site plan reviews of pools and cabanas and barns, that's not something, but when we get into conversations about some of our initiatives and bylaw recommendations and so forth, and we, if you're still interested, we'd love to have you get involved. We could sort of try to arrange those types of agenda items for the Monday that you could make it.
Well, if you can help work around that, then yes, I'm in.
Great.
And then John, I don't know, as chair, we usually try to give the chair a few fewer. Do you want to give Dave the community center?
I was thinking that the finance, I was actually thinking that the finance working group is
Because he already
Dave,
has
so
it. It's Dave.
he's got it. So I was
Okay.
gonna eliminate the finance working group from
Okay.
mine because I do have all the notes and I have been, really digging in with the community center project, especially where they are. I was just considering that, Robin, because it's a lot for Dave. I think it would be a lot for anybody to jump in because there's not a lot of months left in the community center project.
Right.
Hopefully.
I was giving him a softball, John.
Yeah.
Right.
So if Dave is good with the finance working group, then I would,
There's also 3 to 5 that's not on this list.
yeah, and the 3 to 5,
that would be awesome because they want to, hire the consultant and start doing a bunch of work.
So if I get planning board 3 to 5 in the finance working group,
Right,
that would
that's
be great.
perfect.
Yeah,
That would be
perfect.
great. I was gonna give you capital budgets. It's still available.
well, I'm going to be showing up at both those just so I can learn.
Okay.
Yeah. So is that good?
Yeah.
Robin, Dave, are you good with that?
Yes.
Okay. Then I move to appoint.
I think we only need 3 official appointments, right?
Right.
Yeah, these are assignments amongst us, right? Not appointments.
Right.
Right.
But then 3 are official.
Correct.
So, Michael, what would you like for?
So you could just fill in the blank. It would be John, Robin.
Okay, so John, since you probably don't want to appoint yourself,
Yeah.
I move to appoint John Jeffries as open space liaison for 1 year, effective July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025 for open space.
I second that, and can we vote that now? I'll second it.
Yep.
All in favor? I, John Jeffries.
I, Robin Hunter.
Hi, Dave Haviland.
And I move to appoint Robin Hunter as the warrant committee liaison
Can you say warrant committee and capital budget committee?
and capital budget
Right.
for 1 year term effective July 1st, 2024 through June 30, 2025. Ask for a second. All in favor? I, John Jeffries.
I, Robin Hunter.
Hi, Dave Haviland.
And I move to appoint Robin Hunter. Well, you're gonna go Robin Capital. Do we? No,
yeah.
we added capital to you. So we're gonna
Yeah, you just
move,
combine them into one. That's fine.
sorry, move to appoint David to Finance Working Group to
You don't need that.
planning. We don't need to do planning?
They're not,
So
they're
I
not
think,
official.
right.
3 firsts, 5.
Nope. I think it's just
It's an
those
assignment.
three require a formal, as Dave said, the others are kind of assignments versus official.
Dave has
They're-
lots of assignment.
Right,
Move to
they're
appoint you to the
blood.
Finance Working Group.
Right, they're blood. They're pinky swears. They're pinky swears.
That's it. Pinky swears.
For a term of 1 year effective July 1st, 2024 through June 30, 2025. Ask for a second.
What are you seconding?
Dave's
For?
Finance Working Group.
It's a pinky swear.
So
the
we
only
did
ones
the
we have
three
to do
that
are the three you've already done, John.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't have to do Dave. We don't have to assign you to anything. How's it?
I would've-
My pinky is
because it's a-
down.
And because it's a pinky swear, it could be for 4 years.
All right,
Uh-oh.
maybe more.
Right,
Maybe more.
there are no,
Let's.
there are no limits on that one.
We are going to move to item 11. Selectmen updates. Can we just briefly discuss that we met on Tuesday afternoon for our first 2024-25 planning session? Had a very productive planning session, and we are going to meet again on Monday at noontime.
Right.
There's nothing really I want to add to that. Robin, do you want to add anything to that?
I already gave the update on the rail trail kind of organization meeting and no, I don't really have, it's the summer, so things are a little bit quiet. And we
David?
checked Mike's evaluation off.
Yeah, I was gonna say, aren't we trying to check things off?
Yeah, yeah.
So, just Mike and I met this afternoon, and he's gonna ask for some more documents for Kate and I to chew on and keep the process moving. It is moving, and that's what I need to make sure continues. So, progress.
Thank you. And looking at our upcoming schedule, Monday at noontime, planning and objectives for 24-25, Wednesday, July 31st, our regular meeting, Thursday, August 15th, our regular meeting. Nothing else to add.
No,
And we're going to move to item 12, which is updates from Michael.
So I think we covered so much during the meeting. I think that was most of them. I just wanted to mention a couple things for your and the public's benefit. The DPW is going to be starting some paving next week on Tuesday, which I think is the 16th. Specifically, the entire length of Bridge Street, Haven Street, and Wildwood Road. Is part of the Haven Street. It's been about I think a 2-year process, but Kevin was able to get permission from the MBTA to remove the tracks on Haven Street when they repave. That's causes quite a bit of issues for people. So that was really good news, and the timing was very good, obviously, because we're about to do that work. So Kevin will work to coordinate so all that happens while they're doing the road resurfacing.
and steel is worth a lot.
There you go.
We don't get to keep the steel, Robin. They get to keep it. The MBTA gets it.
Really?
We don't get to keep it.
And the only other thing I had, I think hopefully just to make Chris happy, check out our newsletter. I was going through it again today just to see if there's anything I need to talk about. It is fun. It is filled with all sorts of summer events.
That's really good.
It's really great. Whether it's library, COA, Park and Rec, Open Space Committee events. The summer concert series started this past week. This current week.
It's fabulous, by the way. Tuesday night was absolutely fabulous. jazz band played, Michael, really, really well.
That's great. That's great. Yeah,
Oh,
so
I
every
should go
Tuesday,
to, I should go to one of them. So it's
yeah,
every,
every Tuesday in July at 6:30. Yep.
Really well done.
The newsletter has, some board and committee vacancies if people are interested in volunteering, and then you can read some details on some upcoming changes happening at the transfer station related to recycling, where you're putting your cans, paint, cardboard, things like that. So please sign up. It's a great resource. And that's all I had.
Thank you very much.
when I read the newsletter, I'm like, boy, we live in such a great town. There's all this stuff going on. And then I don't go to any of it.
Wait,
That's because you're in all your committee assignments.
yeah,
Now get
Robin,
back to work.
you got to work a little bit less. Michael, will you have at our next meeting an update just with where we are in the recruitment process for the Board of Fire Engineers?
Yeah, so I think the Board of Fire Engineers will be ready to do that. I assume it might be at your next meeting. Yep.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Of course.
Thank you very much. And I think the only thing we have is the consent. Actually, we did the consent
We did it
agenda
already.
Yeah.
on Monday.
That's right.
Robin, I think we're ahead of schedule.
Right, but you know what? Who's going to the Unity Farm Sanctuary tour?
I don't know.
It's tomorrow.
Is it? Did not know that.
Too late, you have to sign up.
No, I didn't.
See, I told you, I look at the stuff and I don't do anything.
Well, on that note, I'm going to let you go to dinner this evening. How's that?
Excellent.
We're
Excellent.
at 8:17, going to move to adjourn.
Oh,
and thank
John, you did well.
everyone. We had 13 items, including
Right.
12 items, including the parts that we had done on Monday. So, and thank everyone. So I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn. Ask for a second.
I'll second that.
All in favor? I, John Jeffries.
I, Robin Hunter.
Dave Haviland.
Thank you all very, very much. That
That
was
was a really efficient meeting. Great.
Yes.
Good work.
a lot
Thank you all. Thank you, Mona.
of information.
Right.
Mona, thank you very much.
She's
Good night,
sleeping.
everyone.
No, I'm still here. I may send an email tomorrow to have you come in for signatures, but I'll let you know.
We signed everything already, Mona.
I think there might be a couple of things we still have to
We'll be
sign, but
there
I'm not sure.
Monday.
I'll check.
We're captive
Yeah.
audiences on Monday
right.
at noon.
That's right.
It's
That's right.
perfect. It's perfect.
That's good.
Yeah.
We'll save you a trip.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Good
Have a
night.
great night.